Hey guys, this is Betsy and I am your host for this week's Make It Monday. This week we're going to play around with a technique that I'm calling mask and stack. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to choose a cute image, just a single image, your choice. This works great for cute little critters. You might want to look for some of Heather's sets. She has some cute little characters and animals that would work great for this technique. You could also use this with maybe a butterfly or even a flower, just something that you can stack up and create a whole pile of. Alright, so for my card today, I'm going to be using a set from Heather called A Cat's Meow. And it just has this cute little cat in it that's going to be perfect for this. You're going to also want the coordinating die. So I have that all ready to go here. You also need some Post-it notes. Alright, and a scrap of copy paper. Okay, so to start out, we're going to die cut several masks using the matching die. And I like to cut multiple at the same time. I usually can do 3 at a time. And when I die cut those, I'm going to stick them just to that piece of copy paper. And what this does is when you run the Post-it notes or the sticky notes through your die cut machine, if you put the sticky notes right onto your cutting plates, the bottom one is going to pick up some residue and some paper, crumbs and scraps from your cutting plate. And so that bottom Post-it note will not be usable because that kind of takes away the adhesive. So what I do to solve that is I just put it on a scrap of copy paper. And then you're going to want to position your die so that as much as possible of that die cut is along that top sticky edge, because we're going to be using it as a mask, and so you want that adhesive from the sticky note. So you can go ahead and run those through your machine and make some masks. Okay, so I'm back. I have my masks die cut. You can see I have a couple little stacks here. My copy paper cut through as well, but I can pull that away and toss that. We don't need that. Okay, so we're ready to start stamping. And I'm going to start with, I'm using some Memento Tuxedo ink here because I'm going to be coloring my images with Copics a little bit later when we're done stamping. So that's why I'm using this black. It's Copic friendly. So I am going to ink that up, and then I'm going to start in the bottom center of, this is just a cardstock 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel, and I'm going to start stamping my images right in the center down at the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to build out from there. So before we stamp our next kitty cat, we're going to mask this little guy. And that tail's a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to take one of my sticky note masks and lay that right over my stamped image. You want to try to get it as lined up as possible so that you have nice even borders. And then we can go ahead and keep stamping. So this next little guy I'm going to put down here, kind of in the corner. I'm going to leave that mask there, and I'm going to stamp another one here over on this side. Okay, so I'm going to leave that mask, and now I'm going to just kind of continue building my crowd of cats. So to build the next row, we want to mask the cats we just stamped. So again, we're going to lay down a mask. Try to get that positioned as evenly over top of the image as possible. There's several points to kind of line up so it's not too hard. And then that adhesive from the sticky notes is just going to hold those in place. And then we can continue building. So I'm going to put another one right about here. And another one over here. and you can arrange them however you want to. Okay, and again, we're going to keep building here, so I'm just going to add masks as I go along. That's why we cut a whole stack of them here. And it depends, if you're working with a smaller image, you might not need as many masks. This cat is pretty good sized, so he takes up quite a bit of room. So I have to kind of keep these bottom ones masked. If I was working with a smaller image, I could probably get rid of some of these bottom masks as I work my way up. This is the same way that I did the cute little winter penguin card that I made for the Throwback Thursday last week. This is the same technique. He's a little smaller and he doesn't really require coloring, so that one went a little bit quicker. Alright, so we have those little guys masked off, and we can just keep filling in. I think I want a little one peeking in here from the side. And then we'll mask him. And we're going to put a final one up here. So I'm just kind of building a stack. It's more of a rounded stack. I want some kind of peeking from around the edges of my card. You could do a different shape stack if you want more of a pile. In the center, you can do that. And we're going to put one last little guy over here. Okay, so now it's going to be really fun to pull those all off, and I know you're just dying to do that. But before we do, I'm going to show you how, if you want to do an inked background behind these guys, like I did here on my card, I added some ink blending. You want to just leave those in place. I am going to pull off some of these bottom ones and move them up here to the last cats that we stamped. Because these down here are already masked and they aren't going to get full of ink with our masking. So they don't really need the masks anymore. We'll pull them off and put them up here. Make sure everything is stuck down pretty good. And then you can go ahead and just ink your background. And this is just how I always do my inking. I start off with a lighter color and just work my way darker as I go along. So my inking is finished, my blending in the background. Now's the fun part. We get to pull off all the masks and see our pile of kitties. And see how they are all overlapping, and you just have this cute little crowd of kitties. Now you can go ahead and color those with your Copics or whatever other method you like to color. I used Copics on mine. I also stamped some clouds in the background. That's from the Blue Sky stamp set. And this sentiment is from the same set as the Cat's Meow set. And then I also added a few details to the cats. I gave them some little bow ties and hair bows. And those were cut using the little bow tie die from the Dress Up Dolls Basic Die Collection. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this fun little masking and stacking technique that we're doing this week, and I hope you find an image that works great for this technique and you have fun playing around with it. We'll see you soon. This has been Betsy for Papertrey Ink.